Okay, let's start about the thyroid function. Okay, so anatomical location. So the thyroid gland is attached to the anterior surface of the trachea. Thyroid gland is located attached to the anterior surface of the trachea, just below the larynx, just below the larynx. Okay, it has a right and left lobe joined by a central isthmus. Okay, it has a uh, right and left lobe joined by the isthmus. Okay, and it's on the anterior surface of the trachea. Okay, and just below the larynx. Okay, then the thyroid lesion can be distinguished from other neck lumps by their moment on swelling. Okay, thyroid lesion can be differentiated from other neck lumps by the moment on swelling. Okay, when swelling occurs, there is a movement of the thyroid, so it can be distinguished from the other lesions which occur in the neck. Okay, the recurrent laryngeal nerve lies laterally on each side, and the parathyroid glands lie posteriorly. Both may be damaged during the thyroid surgery. Okay, the laryngeal nerve and the parathyroid glands. And the laryngeal nerves are located laterally on the both sides, and the parathyroid glands lie posteriorly. Both may be damaged during the thyroid surgery. Okay, the thyroid gland has a rich vascular supply from the inferior and the superior thyroid artery. Thyroid gland has the rich vascular supply from the inferior and the superior thyroid arteries. Okay. Now, production and transport of the thyroid hormone. So, the thyroid tissue is made up of colloid. Okay, the thyroid tissue is made up of the colloid, which contains iodinated thyroglobulin. Okay, thyroid tissue made up of the colloid, which contain iodinated thyroglobulin. Okay, thyroglobulin is synthesized by surrounding follicular cells. Okay, thyroglobulin is synthesized by the surrounding follicular cells and is a large molecule from which thyroid hormone are made. Okay, thyroid tissue is made up of made up of colloid. Okay, which contains iodinated thyroglobulin. Okay, made up of colloid which contains the iodinated thyroglobulin. Thyroglobulin is synthesized by the surrounding follicular cells and is large molecule and is the large molecule from which the thyroid hormone are made. Okay, uh, is synthesized by the surrounding follicular cells and is the large molecule from which the thyroid hormone are made. Okay, from the thyroglobulin, the hormone are made. Okay, thyroid tissue is made up of the colloid. Okay, and it contains the okay like this is the colloid. Okay, okay, this is the colloid. Okay, and is uh, contains the thyroglobulin. Okay, here is the thyroglobulin. Okay, and thyroglobulin uh, they form the thyroid hormone, and this thyroglobulin have the thyroid hormone. Okay, thyroid hormone, these are the thyroglobulin. Okay, the thyroid gland produces two thyroid hormone. Thyroid gland will produce two thyroid hormone, thyroxine and the triiodothyronine. Okay, thyroid gland produce two thyroid hormone, thyroxine and the triiodothyronine. Okay, thyroxine and the triiodothyronine is synthesized. The average plasma concentration of the T3 is roughly 1/6 that of the T4. Okay, 1/6 T3 is there as compared to the T4. Okay, T4 is converted peripherally to more potent and shorter acting T3. The hormones are released under the control of thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay, the hormone are released under the control of thyroid stimulating hormone. Hormones are released under the control of thyroid stimulating hormone TSH from the anterior pituitary, which itself is regulated by the thyroid releasing hormone from the hypothalamus in response to the thermoreceptor and metabolic signals, and circulating level of T3 and T4 detected by both hypothalamus and the pituitary. Okay, so understood that the thyroid gland produces thyroxine T4 and the triiodothyronine T3. Okay, then T3 and T4 are like T3 is 1/6 of the amount of the T4. Okay, and T4 is then in the peripheral, it convert into the short acting T3. Okay, now hormones are released under the control of the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, from which is secreted by the anterior pituitary, and TSH is regulated by the thyroid releasing hormone, which is stimulated by the which is secreted from the hypothalamus. Okay, and in response to the thermoreceptor and the metabolic signals. Okay, and circulating level of T3 and T4 are detected by both the hypothalamus and the pituitary and produce the negative feedback. Now most of the thyroid hormone in the blood are bound tightly. Okay, most of the thyroid hormone in the blood bound tightly, the blood bound tightly to potentiate two proteins in circulation, thyroxine binding protein TBG, circulation thyroxine binding protein, thyretin, and albumin, and are thus unavailable to their receptors, which are located inside target cell. Okay, only the small amount of free T3 and T4 in plasma can readily cross the cell membrane to bind to thyroid hormone receptor. Okay, most of the thyroid hormone in the blood are bound tightly to proteins in the circulation. Thyroid hormone are bound to the proteins in the circulation, and form the thyroxine binding protein, then transthyretin and albumin. Okay, which proteins are there? So they are the thyroid binding protein, then the transthyretin and the albumin. Thyroid binding protein, transthyretin, and the albumin, and thus unavailable to their receptor, which are located inside the target cell. Only the small amount of free T3 and T4 in the plasma can readily cross the cell membrane to bind the thyroid hormone receptor. Okay, understood that the thyroid hormone in the blood is bound to the protein like TBG, then transthyretin and the albumin, and very small amount of the free T3 and T4 are available in the blood plasma and can cross the cell membrane and bound to thyroid hormone receptor. Thyroid receptor are present in almost all tissue with particularly high level in the liver. Okay, in the liver the thyroid receptor are on very high level. Okay, now physiological effect of the thyroid hormone. What is the physiological effect? So basic level of the thyroid hormone release are essential to maintain a normal metabolic rate. Basic level of the thyroid hormone uh, release are essential. Basic level of the thyroid hormone release are essential to maintain the normal metabolic rate. Okay, stimulation, sorry, situations requiring increased heat production, for example when the core temperature falls lead to enhanced activation of the thyroid axis. Okay, when the core temperature is decreased, the enhanced activation of the thyroid axis, the effect take up to 4 days to reach the maximum. Okay, situation requiring increased heat production. Okay, so will cause the increased heat production. Then physiological effect of thyroid hormone include heat production, thermogenesis, then increased basal metabolic rate. Okay, increased basal metabolic rate and the metabolic effect. So increase in protein turnover, both synthesis and degradation are increased, while the overall effect is catabolic. Okay, increase in the lipolysis and increase in the glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis. Okay, so the it increase, it causes the heat production. Okay, then causes the basal increased basal metabolic rate and the metabolic effect, like increased protein turnover, increased lipolysis and increase in the glycogenolysis and the gluconeogenesis. Okay, then enhanced catecholamine effect, enhanced catecholamine effect. So it causes increase in heart rate, stroke volume and thus cardiac output. Increase the heart rate, stroke volume will increase, and so it increase the cardiac output. And important role in the growth and the development, important role in the growth and the development. Okay, so which are the effect of the thyroid hormone? So it causes the heat production, then increased basal metabolic rate and metabolic effect of like increased protein turnover, increased lipolysis, increased gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis, and enhanced catecholamine effect like increased heart rate, increased stroke volume and thus increase the cardiac output, and important role in growth and the development. Okay, understood. So this was the thyroid function. Now, we'll discuss about the vitamin D deficiency. So, without activated vitamin D, calcium uptake from the gut is severely impaired to the point at which intake of hormone is insufficient to maintain body store. Okay, this led to increased release of parathyroid hormone and resorption of bone. Okay, so when there is vitamin D deficiency is there, the calcium absorption from the gut is impaired, which causes the intake of hormone is insufficient to maintain body store. Intake of hormone is insufficient. Okay, so it leads to increased release of parathyroid hormone, which causes the reabsorption of the calcium from the kidney, and it also causes the resorption of the bone to uh, release more and more calcium from the bone. Okay, a lack of vitamin D in children leads to inadequate calcification of bone. Okay, lack of vitamin D in the children will lead to inadequate calcification of the bone, which becomes malformed and produce rickets, and vitamin D deficiency in adults will lead to bone wasting, resulting in soft malleable bone osteomalacia. Okay, in the children it will cause the rickets, and because the inadequate calcification of the bone, and in the adults it causes the malleable bone, causes called the osteomalacia. Vitamin D deficiency can occur in the dietary deficiency of the vitamin D, then malabsorption like celiac disease, then lack of sun exposure, then chronic kidney disease, and liver failure. Okay, uh, kidney disease, liver failure, and lack of sun exposure, then celiac disease and the dietary deficiency will produce the vitamin D deficiency. Okay, now what is the vitamin D? So vitamin D2, ergocalciferol, okay, derived from plants, okay, and yeast, Okay, vitamin D2 ergocalciferol is derived from the plant and yeast. Then vitamin D3 cholecalciferol derived from animal, partially dairy product, are obtained in the diet and absorbed in the small intestine. Okay, D3 is the cholecalciferol and it's derived from the animal and partially from the dairy products. Okay, and are obtained in the diet and absorbed in the small intestine. Vitamin D3 can also be manufactured from the cholesterol within the body via a reaction that is enabled by ultraviolet irradiation of the skin. Okay, when the skin is exposed to the sunlight, this cholesterol will converted into the cholecalciferol. Okay, production of the activated vitamin D. So the vitamin D are converted to cholecalciferol, sorry, calcifediol. uh, D is converted into calcifediol by vitamin D25 hydroxylase in the liver. Okay, uh, this is further converted to the activated vitamin D by 1 alpha hydroxylase in the cells of the renal proximal tubule. This final reaction is the slowest step in the process and therefore regulates the speed of the entire chain of the reaction. Okay, this final reaction is the slowest step in the process and therefore regulates the speed of the entire chain reaction. Okay, the enzyme 1 alpha hydroxylase is stimulated by the parathyroid hormone and thus this final step is regulated by the parathyroid hormone. Okay, enzyme 1 alpha hydroxylase stimulated by the parathyroid hormone and so the final step regulated by the parathyroid hormone. Okay, now effect of activated vitamin D. So, understood till this? Okay, as described in this figure, uh, 7 hydrocholesterol. Okay, when in sunlight, ultraviolet B rays, it converted into pre-vitamin D3. Then in heat, it will convert it into cholecalciferol. Then it will go into the circulation and by circulation to the liver, this vitamin D3 by 25 hydroxylase converted into 25 hydroxy vitamin D. Okay, and then from this it will go to the kidney and it will converted by the 1 alpha hydroxylase in the which is stimulated by the parathyroid hormone. Phosphorus and the calcium will convert into the 125 dihydroxy vitamin D. Okay, and then it will release into the circulation. Now, what is the effect of the activated vitamin D? So, activated vitamin D acts to the gut, kidney, and the parathyroid gland. Okay, in the gut, it will cause increased calcium and the phosphate absorption in the small intestine. Okay, in the kidney, it will also increase the renal calcium absorption, increase the phosphate resorption and the reabsorption, and the inhibit 1 alpha hydroxylase activity in the kidney. Negative feedback. Okay, and in the parathyroid hormone it inhibit the parathyroid hormone secretion by the parathyroid gland. It's also the negative feedback effect. So as we have seen here, the hydroxylase. Okay, this is the activated vitamin D. It will cause negative feedback effect on the parathyroid hormone, also negative feedback effect on the kidney. Okay, in in the intestine will cause the absorption of the vitamin uh, calcium and phosphorus. Okay, serum phosphorus, serum calcium will be increased and will go to the bone. Okay.